In the last section, we set up our association between blog posts and comments and users, but we never actually associated a user with a collection or a list of different blog posts. So we need to make sure that we flip back to our user model and we tell the user model that it's going to have a list of blog posts that exist inside the blog post collection. So let's open up our user model. I'll find my schema. Here's the user schema right here. And I'm going to add on another property to this thing of blog posts. So I want to say it just one more time because I know it's a little bit confusing what we did here. We have both a post collection, or excuse me, a post property. Let's get the terminology right. And a blog post property. We left the post property in here just so we can continue to have the idea of sub-documents inside our application, just to kind of leave that code example in here for future use. So now that we've got the blog post property, we're going to set up a association just like we did inside the blog post and the comment file. So we're going to say that every user will have a collection or a list of different blog posts associated with them. And inside of this, we'll set up a type of schema.types.objectID and also a ref. Don't forget the ref. This will be of type blog post. And again, I'm using the string blog post because that is how I associated my blog post inside of the blog post file, lowercase blog post. All right, so that's pretty much it for all the associations that we have to do. So now I think that we're ready to start writing some tests and kind of figure out how these different associations work together. So I'm going to open up my file browser here on the left-hand side, and I think I'm going to create a new file in my test directory, and I'm going to call this one association test. And we're going to test out how associations work with Mongoose. So let's put in some boilerplate at the top. We'll say const mongoose. Let's require mongoose. We'll pull in our user model. So we'll require src user. We're going to pull in our comment model from src comment. And then we'll pull in our blog post model from src blog post. So now we've got all three models inside of this test file. Remember that every one of these models corresponds to a collection that is going to sit inside of our MongoDB database. So let's add on a describe block of associations. And now we're ready to write some if statements inside of here and figure out how these things work. Now there's one little gotcha that we haven't quite taken care of just yet. If you recall, inside of our test helper, every single time before each test, we were reaching into our collection of users and dropping the entire collection of users. So don't forget that we have to do this same exact thing for all of our other collections as well. Our collection of blog posts and our collection of comments. So we're going to just nest a couple of calls in here to drop all these different collections. And then after all the drop action is complete, we'll run our done callback. So as you might imagine, this is going to look a little bit ugly because we have to nest a couple callbacks inside of here. The one thing that we can do to kind of make this code look a little bit better is we can pull off references to our three different collections ahead of time, and that will kind of at least clean up this code a little bit. So we're going to use a little bit of ES6 code to do this. I'm going to say const users, comments, and blog posts equals mongoose.connection.collections. So again, just a little bit of ES6 code here. The ES6 code is going to look at this collections object and it's going to try to pull off the users, comments, and blog post properties. Now that we've pulled off these properties, I can condense the existing drop statement to just users. Then inside of here, after we drop the entire collection of users, we can call comments.drop. And then once that's done, we can call blog posts.drop. So just basically drop everything. And at the end, we'll call done. Now, once you look at this, you might get the feeling, we're dropping 3 collections sequentially. That's probably going to take a little bit of time, isn't it? And the answer is, yeah, it definitely is. We are waiting for the entire users collection to drop, then the comments collection drop, and then the blog post collection to drop. So clearly this is something that is not super ideal. Let's continue the next section and maybe take another look at this and then flip on over to our association test and start writing our first test. So I'll see you in just a moment.